how can Macklemore win a Grammy over Kendrick? If it didn't matter, we wouldn't care.
No, it's not.
If I'm gonna be real with you, and this is gonna sound so mad,
Yeah.
if Macklemore won a BET award over Kendrick, no one would care.
No.
Yeah, welcome to this video. You probably accidentally clicked on it and now you've got all of us looking at you. We're going to be talking about the Grammys, which are in just over 48 hours. Got the usual suspects here. So, hello, Kevin.
Yeah, well gone, money.
How are you?
Not bad. Just out here.
Hello, H.
Yo.
How are you?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
All good. And then we've got Jarvis, but let's get into it.
Wow.
Given the news coming out that the Weeknd's decided to pull all of his music going forward from the Grammys, I want to ask all of you, does an artist winning a Grammy mean anything to you? Like, if you listen to artists or like artists, does it add any gravitas to that? So, you want to go first, Kay?
Oh yeah. No, it doesn't matter, man. Grammys doesn't matter. Sales, to an extent, doesn't matter as well. I mean, those are all the shiny things that doesn't necessarily point to the quality of a project. It's nice in some aspects, but overall it doesn't. So for me, no.
I think nowadays, the Grammys don't hold as much weight as it used to. I mean, it's still an important part of the music industry, don't get me wrong. But, for me, it just doesn't hold as much weight as it used to. Because, I mean, for the Weeknd to get snubbed, he had one of the biggest years last year. And for him not even to have a single nomination in any of the categories, I mean, that speaks for itself. And this happens a lot as well. It's a growing theme with the Grammys. So for me, it's still important, like I said, but I don't think it holds as much weight as it did in previous years.
I'm hearing a lot of waffle right now, man. I'm hearing all types of waffle, bro. Because listen, at the end of the day, I do believe the Grammys get things wrong a lot of the times, but I can't lie. The Grammy validates certain artists. I will not lie. People get Grammys and they don't know how to act. People are on stage crying when they get Grammys, bro. So the power of a Grammy, the power of the Grammy is still there. Like, imagine you've worked on a body of work. Some people work on a body of their work their whole life. And then they get to, let's be real, the Grammys is like the creme de la creme of the music industry. You get me? It's right at the top. The creme de la creme of the music industry. And once people get that Grammy, bruv, they don't know how to act. I kind of feel like the Grammys only don't have importance when they don't do what we want them to do. But when they do what we want them to do, we love them. You get me?
Say that about any award stuff.
You're telling me that a Grammy solidifies a career?
Not a career, but an artist. Bro, do you know the perfect example? Nas. Nas is an incredible artist. Incredible artist. Obviously, classic album. He's done it. He's been there. He's done there. But we still ask ourselves, why has Nas not got a Grammy? He deserves a Grammy. Why are we doing that if the Grammys aren't important?
Does that take away from his career?
Do you know what? Yeah, it does leave a bit of a stain on his career. Because all of his peers have got Grammys. Jay-Z's got a Grammy.
Snoop Dogg hasn't.
That's another one. That's another example of someone who it does leave a little, it's kind of like a footballer. Steven Gerrard, for example, amazing footballer, did everything, didn't win the Premier League. You get me?
Yeah, but he's still Hall of Fame. Like, for me, Steven Gerrard is still Hall of Fame. I mean, that's the problem.
But Jay, he won the biggest trophy in football. He won the Champions League.
But you don't win a Premier League. Everyone brings it back to that. So I feel like that's the argument, and that shows the importance where people can always bring it back and be like, but you didn't win that. I mean, we talk about Jay-Z winning 22 Grammys or whatever, however many, Kanye winning that many Grammys.
You can't win everything though, bro. You can't
win everything, yeah. Sorry,
I feel like the issue with that is, again, that's just people who care more about the shiny things, but not necessarily about the quality. Like, we all know that Steven Gerrard, bruv, this guy can not win the CL or even the Premier League. Man, still put him up there as one of the best Premier midfielders of all time, fam. In my own personal opinion, probably loads of people's opinion as well. And that's the same thing that goes with, like, Nasir Jones, bruv. Like, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter, because Grammys, even in the history of Grammys, I think during the 70s when, like, Marvin and, like, I think Stevie was one of them ones that managed to actually win a couple of Grammys. But if I was reading correctly, there's loads of black artists that were not awarded, and I think that's also been like a prevailing theme as well. Like going, there's been issues there's been issues for decades. Like sometimes they throw out. Recently, I think they throw out the committee. They bring in a new committee. They change things up, but then there's issues with it. So again, it's not just. It's also a thing where there's so many people that are involved, and those people's opinion that gets sort of clashed. And it's a whole heap of mess, isn't it? So
the thing is, I'm not saying the Grammys aren't a mess because I do believe they're a mess.
Yeah. No, I agree. I know your point.
Yeah, 100%. Macklemore won a Grammy over Kendrick. That says everything.
You know, even that. Sorry, the fact that I forgot about that is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that was one of the biggest scandals. But sorry, go on, Jake.
But that's what I'm saying. Our reaction said everything about the validity of a Grammy. Where we're like, how can Macklemore win a Grammy over Kendrick? If it didn't matter, we wouldn't care.
No, it's not.
If I'm gonna be real with you, and this is gonna sound so mad, if Macklemore won a BET award over Kendrick, no one would care.
No, we would.
No one would care. We wouldn't care. We would care because it's a black entertainment television. But if he won, like, for example, a Brit Award over Kendrick, no one would give a damn.
No. In a way, no. I'm sorry. I think the problem with Grammys is that it is the only sort of award. it is the award that has become the sort of, the de facto statue of what is best or what is released. What's the best thing they've released that particular
It's the Oscars of music.
Yeah, so unfortunately, people care because of that. But for us that listen and understand music and also know how these things sort of function, we realize really and truly, this is just a bunch of politics and a bunch of other stuff. So it doesn't matter. I think with a award show like an Oscar, for example, you can argue, even though that's also got its issue, but at least they award more quality now than the Grammys do. But yeah, sorry, go on.
But then I was just going to say, I think obviously just the question was, what it was, Money Man, can you say the question one more time?
Yeah, but I was going to tie in all your responses.
Yeah,
it sounds like rather than someone winning a Grammy affecting how much you appreciate them or appreciate their music, especially for you, Jarvis, this seems like it's true. You want them to win the Grammy, you want that piece of music to win a Grammy for them to feel a sense of achievement in themselves and for them to feel, right, I'm getting the recognition that my work deserves.
I would say yes and no. I would say, like, there are several artists, like we said, Nas and Snoop, who've released incredible bodies of work and never won a Grammy. For me, I'm one of those people on the opinion where I see both sides, where it's kind of like, to be fair, I don't really care if they win a Grammy, if they don't. But also, we can't stand here and say that the Grammys don't matter or they're not important or whatever. I feel like a lot's going to happen. Like Henry mentioned before that, I don't actually, did you mention, but The Weeknd said he's not going to submit.
Yeah. Frank doesn't submit as well. Frank has stopped submitting.
Frank stopped submitting after he won a Grammy. I'm just saying. Read between the lines. Read between the lines, bro. These guys, The Weeknd's won a Grammy as well. So, like these men are doing this after the fact. If someone didn't submit it from the beginning of their career, then I'll be like, okay, cool, you really do not care about the Grammys. But the fact you're doing it now, I'm gonna be real. Like, The Weeknd had an amazing year, sold so much, broke many records. We saw what he did at the Super Bowl. And then obviously he didn't get what he felt he deserved. He's throwing a hissy fit.
No, he did deserve it though.
I'm saying he didn't get it. He didn't get it.
I mean, he deserved nominations. I mean, the fact that he was not nominated is ridiculous. I can't lie.
Yeah,
like, even in the pop category, I think we're gonna go through the list. I think of the pop category, but when you look at the record stacked up, I mean, "Blinded by the Lights" is a phenomenal song. Like,
100%. And I'm not trying to stand there and say that it's not. I think it's incredible. But what I'm saying, I don't ever think that the Grammys will never be irrelevant. I don't think so.
Okay, I see your point.
I agree.
I see your point.
Relating to that, given that music's an art form and art's obviously you interpret it differently, people to people, culture to culture. So don't you think it's always going to be the case that when it comes to big awards for some part of the population or some part of the music listening people globally, there's going to be something like these awards are corrupt, we don't like these awards, they don't represent us well, because there's such a diverse audience out there for music, and like our albums of the year, songs of the year, they're all different. So people taking music differently. So it's not like football where you can be like, he banged in 40 goals this season, give him the golden boot.
That is such a good point, because I never thought of it like that. Because if you do think about it, like if we were to ask the whole population of the UK, who do you listen to? Like obviously a lot of people say, I listen to rap and R&B. A lot of people like dance, a lot of people pop, a lot of people XYZ. But at the same time, at the Grammys, they kind of have to represent all music. You get me? It's not just popular music. Let's be real. It's not just popular music. Is, as Kevin was saying, you know, what's good. You get me? And maybe we feel because we're in it, we're in, you know, we've got the listening ear that we listen to like more urban music. Let's be real. That like they're missing out. Like, how could you miss? How could you miss little Gangbang? He had the biggest album of the year and XYZ, brother. There are 100 other artists out there that they must consider. Which is
little gangbang. But yeah, no, the thing is, what you're saying, Money Man, is absolutely 100% correct. But I think for me, quality is what should be the deciding factor. And yes, you can bring up the point that it's still hard to decide quality because large part of music is subjective. But when I look at like the Metacritic NDA list or the Guardian or like Pitchfork or like Rolling Stone, every year when I go back and listen to some of the albums that they got on their list, I'm amazed about, you know, the quality that you know. And I feel like with Grammys, even in the respective genre category, they can get that wrong. Sometimes in the album category, they will nominate an album that, or they will, for example, Kendrick and the Macklemore example that we just given there as well. Another album that shouldn't win in that particular genre ends up winning, or they might be a great alternative rock album, and then they end up losing to like Kings of Leon or some shit. Like it just, I mean, I can't
lie. Don't ever talk about Kings of Leon like that in your life, brother.
Bro, listen, the less said about Kings of Leon, the better, innit? But I feel that they got the categorizations, but I feel like in terms of awarding quality, they do get that wrong. And I feel like if they could get the quality aspect of it correct, which I think it is possible, at least the award should will be worth watching. But they will never get 100% correct, which is what I agree with Man's point. But they can move to a place where it will be worth watching, and when you actually, years later, when you actually hear some of these records, you're like, oh my God, fam. Like when someone hears Macklemore's album, no one's who's listening to a Macklemore tape, innit? Except from few, Jarvis, don't be the devil's advocate.
The biggest issue with the Grammys is the fact that it's not always about the music. You feel me?
Yeah.
There's a lot of politics that happens behind the scenes.
100%.
But when you're saying it's not always about the music, what do you mean? Like you can't just say that. It's a loose statement, you know. You have to, give some sort of. I'm just saying.
I kind of still want a career in the music industry, so
I'm not gonna.
Guys, you see, there is the power of the Grammys.
No, but I mean, I could comment. I mean, you look at what happened with the Golden Globes, for example, and like, what's it called?
I May Destroy You.
Yeah, I May Destroy You, and also the Emily in Paris, and then bunch of
that nonsense.
And then how literally they were flying out. I think the people who were on the committee for the Golden Globes, and then that's how they end up amassing these bunch of nominations. And you just look at similar things do happen in the what's it called, in the Grammys.
We should come back to this after we've gone through the list, because I think some of the nominations and some of the responses we might have to some of the categories might just feed into this a bit in terms of certain albums being nominated when they don't deserve it. So if we, as we talked about music being open to interpretation, we're only going to talk about the categories that we feel we're qualified to talk about. So as much as the audience isn't going to like this, we're not really going to talk about Christian Album of the Year 2020. If you've got any albums to recommend, put it in the comments and we might give it a listen at some point. We're going to start with Record of the Year. We've got Beyonce, Black Parade, Black Pumas, Colours, The Baby featuring Roddy Ricch, Rockstar, Doja Cat, Say So, Billie Eilish, Everything I Wanted, Dua Lipa, Don't Start Now, Post Malone, Circles, Megan Thee Stallion featuring Beyonce, Savage. Now H, I know you have that Billie Eilish track in your top 10 of 2020.
Yeah.
You think it's deserving of a Grammy?
To be honest, yeah, I do. I mean, you've got some heavy hitters in this category. Like for me, Dua Lipa could easily win this. So could Post Malone. Megan Thee Stallion with Savage as well could easily win it. And even The Baby, the Rockstar featuring Roddy Ricch could win this. But for me, it has to be Billie Eilish. Because I think over the last 2 or 3 years, man, I think she and Taylor Swift have been leading the pack. But I'll give it to Billie Eilish because I think, wait, was it last year, the Grammys last year, she won like, 5 or 6 awards?
Billie Eilish?
Yeah.
Yeah, she swept up last year. Yeah.
Yeah, she kept up last year. So I think, you know, she could easily sweep up again. But yeah, there's so many records in this category that could easily win. But for me, it has to be Billie Eilish.
On a broader spectrum as well, I think, Cav, your voice will be pretty interesting on this. Do you think artists like Beyonce, purely because of their size, almost automatically guaranteed a slot if they put out semi-decent music in categories like Record of the Year, just because of the name recognition and how big they are?
That does give an advantage, 100%. 100% that does give an advantage. I mean, I think, yeah, there's been a numerous of examples that I can't actually think of my head, but if you do have, you know, if you are a bigger artist, you're always going to have a nod over a smaller artist, and that's just the way it goes because you're more synonymous, you know. Again, partial of getting nominated is not submitting, but I think it's also sort of promoting your stuff in order for it to be sort of, I don't know, in order for it to be nominated, or for people to still have it present that, you know, this body of work was released and this body of work is, you know, better than some other body of work. So yeah, I'll say so. Yeah.
I think even with Beyonce, yeah, like there's times where that she doesn't really release anything for the year, and then somehow, some way,
she get nominated.
Hey, the Beehive is gonna kill us, bro.
Do you think that goes back to your point earlier, H, where you say sometimes there's more than just music at play when it comes to deciding who's nominated?
Yeah, for sure. I know, just like Jarvis said, the Beehive are gonna kill us, but you know,
If you're worried about your future in music, you pretty much killed it.
No, but like to follow up,
especially when it comes to the Beehive, But yeah, before you go, Kev, even I think sometimes Beyonce wakes up and you know, I don't know, her publicist or someone tells her, yo, you've been nominated in this category. She probably is thinking to herself,
like what? Okay,
yeah, like,
let's get it.
I'll take it. You know, she's probably surprised herself. Yeah, I'll take that. So yeah, I feel like with Beyonce, even when she's not active, she's active. Yeah, even when she doesn't release music, you still see her everywhere. It's like say, you know, marketing is a very big part of that reason. Marketing is an important part of the music industry. It's probably the most important part. Understand? So I feel like that's a contributing factor to why Beyonce is always nominated, even when she's not really active.
So let's move it on to Song of the Year. Roll through your nominees. A lot of these will sound familiar. Beyonce, Black Parade, Billie Eilish, Everything I Wanted, Roddy Ricch, The Box, Taylor Swift, Cardigan, Post Malone, Circles, Dua Lipa, Don't Start Now, Her, I Can't Breathe, JP Saxe featuring Julia Michaels, If the World Was Ending. I'm going to go straight to you, Jay, with Roddy Ricch and The Box, because I know that was one of your top songs last year.
It was one of my top songs last year, and I think it's even mad that you forget that came out last year, as mad as that sounds. I'm not even trying to say that, like, the song is forgettable. But, like, the song was on the charts for so long, and I'm going to be real, it's one of them songs that wasn't meant to be a radio single. Like, it's like the intro to the album. Like, it wasn't meant to be a radio single, and then it just popped, and it just worked. And for me, personally, like I said, it was on my Song of the Year list. I think he deserves it, but I don't think he'll win it, personally. I don't think he'll win it. We've got a couple Grammy darlings in here. You get me? And I just don't think he's got a chance, unfortunately. Like, I think the last rap song to win Song of the Year was This Is America by Childish Gambino. And
okay.
Yeah, and before that, there hasn't been one in, I think, like over 10 years. So it's far and few between. So if we're doing statistics, like, my guy's got no chance. Chance whatsoever. But there are some good songs here. You get me? I wouldn't say I'm a particular fan of any, but you get me? They deserve to be on this list. That's my thoughts.
Very, very diplomatic. H, do you think Billie Eilish should potentially win both?
I mean, she could, but I feel like they're going to give it to Post Malone, you know. I feel they were going to give it to Post Malone and Taylor Swift.
Hold on, what was Cardigan on the chart? Did he do quite well on the chart?
Yeah, it got to number 1, I think.
Yeah, I think Cardigan might get. I mean, like, I see, for me, Cardigan, Don't Start Now, and Everything I Wanted. The Box is not a bad record. I think between those four are probably the front runner for me for the song of the year. I probably wouldn't be angry if any of those four probably won it for me personally.
Do you know who's going to win? And I'm saying this right now. This is my hot take. The Grammys is going to do a political statement, and they're going to give it to her. And yeah, they're going to give it to her, and it's going to be I Can't Breathe, because obviously, as you know, that's a political song, a very powerful song, and I feel like, you know, listen, and this is maybe me being a cynic, but I feel the Grammy do this every now and again. They did it with Childish Gambino, This Is America, where, you know, they snub a couple black artists, you know, the artists are not where they need to be, so then they give like one super political song the Grammy, like, yo, it's not that popular, you get me?
But I feel like with This Is America, what helped it as well is that it was
number one.
Record. Everyone loved it, didn't it?
Yeah, everyone loved it. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like there's a lot of huge records in this list, but I'm saying they're going to give it to her. I think they'll give it to her. And if I was part of their PR team, I'll be like, you brother, you better give it to her, bruv. You mad?
I feel like sorry, go on, Money Man.
No, go for it. I was just going to say that we're 2 categories in, and going back to what H mentioned earlier about more than music, we've already discussed this for Beyonce for Record of the Year, and now her for Song of the Year. So it definitely does seem like there's a bigger, like, the global, whether you're a global figure, the socio-political climate does play a bigger part as music. I'm going to come to you next, Kevin. So we're moving on to Album of the Year.
Oh, cool.
First, we've got Black Pumas, self-titled album, Black Pumas, Coldplay, Everyday Life, Jacob Collier, Jesse Volume 3, Haim, Women in Music Part 3, Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia, Post Malone, Hollywood's Bleeding, and Taylor Swift, Folklore. I know you were big on Taylor Swift last year, Kev, but I also know that you've been a big Coldplay fan in the past.
Yeah.
And they weren't included in your top 10 albums of 2020, even though you only named 8. So have you just massively gone off Coldplay? Don't you think the recent album's been very good?
Yeah, I've actually gone off Coldplay. I did listen to Everyday Life, and it has good records on that album. But in this list, again, Haim, I heard some of the Haim album as well, and I like that as well. So we got, for me, Haim, Dua Lipa, Taylor Swift, Jhené Aiko Chilombo as well. I think those 3 probably are the front runners. Post Malone was bleeding probably, but I think Taylor Swift will most likely win, and I think in that list she deserves to win it. But Coldplay, Everyday Life, I think to be honest, they're quite lucky to get a nomination. But it's a good album, but for what came out last year, I don't think it should have got nominated for Album of the Year. I think what's her name again? Fiona Apple should have got nominated for Album of the Year. I mean, her album is just, I've heard some of it, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So yeah.
No, I definitely think Taylor Swift should win it. I think she has the best album in this category. To be honest with you, I don't understand why Jhené Aiko's Chalabo's in there.
Do you not like it?
I mean, it's all right, but I don't think it should have been in there. That for me, that was a surprise. I can't even lie. But yeah, if I'm going down this list, for me it should be Taylor Swift. If not Taylor Swift, then probably Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia. I think she had a great year as well last year. But yeah, I'm gonna say Taylor Swift.
And also to add in there as well, that's where arguably, that's where the Weeknd's album should have been as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
See, how can anyone justify the Weeknd's album not being in there? Like, over like a Black Pumas. I mean, who are Black Pumas?
It might. The thing is, it might be a good album, but. And I hope that is, because if that, I hope if the Black Pumas and Jacob Collier, if those are great albums, then that is amazing, because that will be amazing. And because I feel, sorry before you go, Jay, those are albums that I don't think had a massive, they didn't sell very well, didn't have a great chart year. And I'm not sure, I think maybe Cricket did it, I'm not sure Cricket did it, but it's interesting to see an album that doesn't have that high profile get that recognition. So I'm hoping it's based on quality and that they're great records. And I will look back at these 2-3 records that I just mentioned. I'll be like, yo, they're banging, fam. And
Black Pumas peaked at 4, so it did pretty decent in the Billboard charts.
I I was just about to say, K, I was gonna kill you, fam, when you were saying The Weeknd was more commercially successful, and then you saved it at the end when you're like, if they're good albums, then they deserve to be there.
Yeah, I mean I think that's my own crux is I just want the music. When I look at the list, let the music be good. I don't care how much you sell, how much I sell. If the music is good, I don't even care who wins. Just as long as nominate music that is good. If you get nominated, to get a nomination should almost be close to a win because it's hard to award. It is hard to award something when there's so much great things that have come out in a particular year. And I think that's the way Grammy should do it. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, Money Man, they were number 4 on the folk chart. They were 160 on the Hot.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
I said Billboard chart. It can be Billboard folk chart, not Hot 100. There we go.
There you go. I mean, can someone please justify that?
Yeah, but if the quality of the music's good, then isn't that all that should matter?
Yeah.
Rather
that's
than commercial
thing.
success.
Surely
we're doing the same stuff we're complaining about. We're letting factors apart from the music influence what we think is a prestigious snuff album or song to be on there.
100%. And for me, that's why quality should override everything.
Now let's move on to the stuff we're a lot more familiar with on this channel. Rap album of the year. Let me just find the list quickly.
Yeah, it's a very good list, I think.
Good discussion, this one.
I think there's going to be a consensus album here between all of us, considering what happened in our end of 2020 list. But let's go through the albums on here. You've got D Smoke, Black Habits, Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist, Alfredo, J Electronica, A Written Testimony, Nas, King's Disease, and Boyz II 59, The Allegory. I think all three of you were pretty big on your praise for Alfredo, so I think that's going to be the biggest talking point here.
Yeah, I think we all generally agree that Freddie Gibbs should win it, but I feel like they might give it to Nas.
Yeah.
I think they might give it to Nas because of the sentiment.
Do you think it's going to be like that Leonardo DiCaprio with the Oscars sort of thing, where he won it for The Revenant because he just deserved it over his career?
Yeah, I can't lie, he did deserve it for Revenant. That was a very good film. But no, 100%, I agree with H's sentiment so much. I'm gonna be real. One of the first years where Nas actually does not deserve to win the Grammy, I feel like he's gonna win it.
He's gonna win it.
Yeah, he's gonna win it.
I mean, the album wasn't bad though. Like the album was quite good. In my opinion.
In terms of Nas's albums, where would you put it? Is it top 10?
Yeah, it's top 10, of course.
Yeah, he's got better albums in it.
Wait.
Oh no, he's got.
Has Nas even released 10 albums?
Yeah, he's released albums.
Like 13 or he's in 13. I think he's in that numbers. Yeah, I think he's released more than 10. Yeah.
In the late 90s and early 2000s, he was putting out albums like every 2 years.
Me personally, I don't think the album was bad. I thought it was quite good. So I wouldn't be mad if Nas won it, but Freddie Gibbs deserves it.
One thing I was going to say is, and ask you, man, about this. Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist are the only ones nominated as a rapper and a producer. We're seeing a lot more joint albums and EPs like that now, where you've got a single rapper and a single producer. I know we used to have it a lot more in the 90s, where you had like combinations like Mobb Deep. You used to have Havoc producing all the stuff and Prodigy. Are you guys a fan of that? Like, do you think it adds continuity to the project if you've got the same producer producing all the songs?
100%, because I kind of feel like at the end of the day, when you work with one person throughout like any project whatsoever, you kind of understand how each other's workflows work. You kind of have a concise sound, and everything you do filters through that sound. Everything you do works through that sound, because obviously every producer has a different type of producing style. So like when you listen to, like, for example, like this album, for example, it's just so smooth and so effortless because it's one producer. And I do feel like in a weird way, it forces the producer to try different things and to push themselves, because they're basically producing the whole album. Whereas like if you're, for example, a mixed match of producers on an album, I don't know, for me personally, I kind of find that it's harder to find that level of consistency and that level of,
flow.
Yeah.
I definitely think in recent time, it's worked. Like, if you just look at Daytona, that's
a good example.
And then even with King's Disease, it was this Hit Boy that produced the tracks. And again, I think that was one of Nas's best albums in recent memory. So can work, and there are examples of it working. Just reminded me, I swear Pop Smoke's album got snubbed.
Yes. Now that one didn't make sense. That one didn't make sense because bruv, if we're talking like in concerns with sales, this guy's been in the top 3 since it came out. He hasn't dropped. Like, he's literally consistently sold amazing numbers. It was very well received on the charts. His singles are still like...
It wasn't that good though, was it, Joe?
What you know about love? What are you talking about? I'll show you everything. Bro, what are you talking about? Like, in terms of like what critical acclaim, obviously it wasn't a critically acclaimed album, but like, let's be real, for someone, let's be real, that album is not like a thought through album. They've just pieced together what he's recorded.
Is that the post step album?
Yeah, that's it. Obviously your boy Ferrari F50 said, you know what, let me executive produce this one. I think they were already working on it, and then they pieced everything together, and you know, the album happened. And let's be real, like, it's not like an album where like Pop Smoke said I want to do this and then do this, but I still feel like it should have got a nomination, 100%.
For your best rap song now, Lil Baby, The Bigger Picture, Roddy Ricch, The Box, Drake featuring Lil Durk, Laugh Now Cry Later, The Baby featuring Roddy Ricch, Rockstar, Megan Thee Stallion featuring Beyonce. Beyonce's on like so many of these. Savage. I'm gonna throw this one to you, Jay, because I'll be interested whether you pick Roddy Ricch, The Box, or Lil Baby, The Bigger Picture.
Do you know what? Yeah, sorry. This is best rap song, yeah?
Yeah.
I can't lie. I personally think that it will either be Megan Thee Stallion Savage, or it will be or it will be The Baby Rockstar.
What do you think it should be, though?
What I think it should be, rather, it's not on the list. What I think it should be, you know, I wouldn't. Yeah, I guess I would say The Box. You know, I think it should be The Box. But I understand why it would be Megan Thee Stallion, because it's massive single. You get me? The TikTokers love that one. It really took her to the next level in her career, and obviously she got a feature from with Beyonce. This is actually the remix. It's not the original. So she got a feature with Beyonce, like, brother, 2 queens on one track. What can you say? And with Rockstar, another massive crossover single. So if either of those won it, I wouldn't be surprised. But personally, I would want Roddy Ricch or Lil Baby, The Bigger Picture, just because
that's what I was going to say. I think I'm not gonna lie, like, bro, if Lil Baby, The Bigger Picture wins it, I can't even be mad because it's a good song.
It's a really good song,
like, and I think it will be nice, and it will be good for it to win. But but I'm going with you, Jay. I don't think that. Oh, actually, I do think there's a possibility that it could happen, but there's most likely there will be some of the records that you've mentioned. But The Bigger Picture, wow! If that would have won, I'll actually be very happy. Happy.
It'll be very well deserved. Very well deserved.
I think that Jarvis will use that as this sort of crowning point for Lil Baby Artist of the Year 2021.
Over Taylor, you get me?
Let's move on to. We're gonna rattle through these last 3 ones. Best R&B album, and then we'll go on to song. Best R&B album, we've got Ant Clemens, Happy to Be Here, Giveon, Take Time, Luke James, To Feel Loved, John Legend, Bigger Love, Gregory Porter, All Rise. Actually, I think it was decade ago, 2011, John Legend swept the R&B nominations. He got Album of the Year and Song of the Year. I know you're a big R&B boy, H.
Yeah. You've got to fling over to me, money man. This list, is underwhelming. I can't even lie. Listen, I'm gonna just, keep it 100. Like, for me, Brandy should be in this list. Yeah, for me, she had the best R&B album of last year.
Should she be in the progressive R&B list? Because that seems to be more contemporary, or the R&B one. Because I feel like they've awarded traditional R&B, and then there's the progressive one, which is contemporary R&B, the R&B that's popping today.
Bro, either way, she should be. Like progressive, you know what I'm trying to say?
R&B, some way this should be Brandy.
Yeah. Whatever way you lace it, bro, she should be in this list. But for me, she had the best R&B album of last year. Even Tiana Taylor, You know.
Yeah, she got snubbed as well.
He got snubbed as well. You know.
Who do you think is going to win then? Who do you think is going to?
I'll give it to Givian because I can't lie. I think the Givian album was actually a good album, but yeah, this list is very underwhelming. I haven't even listened to the John Legend album.
Is that the Luke? Yeah, is that the Luke James brother from New Edition biopic?
Yeah. The one that played.
Oh snap! He made an album.
I think he played Johnny Gill.
Okay,
that's him. Yeah, he's actually a great singer.
Yeah.
I don't think his album was that good. Gregory Porter, haven't even listened to the album, and Adam Clemens, who's that? I don't even know who that is, you know. And
he's happy to be here, going by the album name. So
I have a feeling you're going to be pretty underwhelmed by the best songs, by the best R&B songs as well.
Yeah.
Glasper featuring her and Michelle. I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name. Dejicello, Better Than I Imagine. Beyonce, Black Parade. Tiana Major and Earth Gang, Collide. Chloe by Haley, Do It. Skip Marley and her, Slow Down.
For me, it should be Chloe and Haley.
Yeah, I agree, man. Do It is a brilliant record, man. It's a very good song, man.
Yeah. Even, do you know what? Tell a lie. Like, oh no, their album is in the best progressive R&B album. So
which one?
I was gonna have a little rant there.
Oh yeah, that Chloe, they're not on the list. Yeah. They should win the best progressive list, 100%. They should.
Yeah, no. But yeah, no. I think Chloe.
Oh, Thundercat is there. Actually, no, they should still win it.
Yeah, I think Chloe Haley should win that award. Not only because the song. Not only because the song was the biggest song on this list, but for me it was the best song on this list. And I think over the last year and a half, they've literally just like grown. Yeah, I think that should be rewarded. So I'm gonna go with Chloe and Haley for this one. But I just have a strange feeling they're gonna give it to Beyonce because it's Beyonce.
For what? For best R&B song?
Yeah. They're gonna. I just have a feeling they're gonna give it to Beyonce just because.
I think because she's nominated for Record of the Year as well. If they don't give her that, they'll give her this.
Yeah, Beyonce needs to go home with something, innit?
I haven't listened to much R&B for ages, but back when I used to like listen to it more, I remember the nominations being like more pure R&B.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think they've kind of over the years they've kind of broken it down into two categories. But yeah, no, I definitely think Chloe and Haley should win it, but I think they'll give it to Beyonce.
So there seems to be a common theme of think it should go to such and such, but we think it will actually go to someone else.
That's the Grammy for you in a nutshell.
With the best R&B progressive album, because I remember they've changed it. I think last year was like contemporary album, best R&B contemporary or something like that. Thundercat should not be there.
Like, I was thinking that as well. As a producer-led album, he shouldn't be there. He
should not be there whatsoever. This guy should be like best like alternative music for me. I feel like this is another example of the Grammy saying it's a black person for him in R&B. But yeah.
And just to touch on that category quickly, I think I'm glad the album should win it. Should win the award, but I know they're probably going to give it to Jhené Aiko because she's nominated for Album of the Year in it. So you know, I think you know. Because, in my opinion, she's not going to win Album of the Year. They'll give her best progressive R&B album as a consolation. Yeah.
I guess that's part of the problem. If you have people nominated for the big award, and then they automatically get nominated for like the subcategory award, and then that's sort of just like a throwaway because it's like if they can't win the big award, we have to give it.
Yeah, it's like a token gesture. You know?
Yeah.
As long as
that makes me feel sorry for like some of the smaller people who are just nominated for like R&B or just nominated for rap because you're not going to win.
Yeah.
Moving on to final category we're going to touch on is best electronic/dance album of 2020. We've got Arca, Kick Eye, we've got Bauer, Planets Mad, Disclosure Energy, K-Tranda Bubba, and Medion Good Faith. Jarvis, K-Tron is going to be on your list, isn't it?
Not a question, bro. He has to win it. He has to win it. Like, I think it's a bit cheeky because, like, he's even nominated for Best New Artist, even though he's been here for how many years?
Yeah, and
But,
that
like,
album came out in 2019 as well.
yeah, it came out 2019, so I don't know how they've done this one. Let's not talk about the logistics here, but he deserves it. Okay, he deserves to win this album. He deserves to win this category. In fact, the album is seamless. It's incredible. You can listen to it from top to bottom, from middle to top, from middle to all the way back to Kingdom Come, fam. It's an incredible album, fam. I'm here for it. I love it. Like, I guess you could, bro, you could even argue that, you know, you could throw it in the freaking what's that category you just spoke about, the progressive R&B thing. There's an argument.
There's loads of this. Yeah, there's R&B. He loves to remix all that sample R&B records as well. And make
there's an argument you can throw it there, but like just the core of the sound is rooted in dance and electronic, and he deserves it. The Disclosure album, I can't lie. Like, there was a year. Sorry, I just want to say this right now. If we're talking about, you know, the Grammys injustices to the people. There's a year when Disclosure dropped Settle when we were in university.
2013. Yeah, that Settle was a big album, yeah.
Big album, and they got snubbed, and he deserved it. And do you know what? It's a shame because I don't think this album that they've got here, Energy, is a very good album. Got one of my favorite songs of last year, Mali. But it, you know, compared to Kate Tronada, nah, it's not even a question. And anyone who thinks Kate Tronada shouldn't win this album, fist fights. Like, I think everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think one that for me that could have competed with Kate Tronada album for me would have been Caribou Suddenly. I think that be in the list and to get nominated as well. But yeah, he was not nominated. Maybe I think he's also on an independent label as well, so the likelihood of that happening is extremely small. But it's not a bad list. Arca production, what he did with Yeezus, Björk, and a lot of people. I haven't heard Cake Eye, but I probably would agree with you looking at the list as well that at least that Kate Tronada should win it. Yeah, with Baba.
There's no real conclusions to be made. We have people we think should have been nominated and should have won, but we all sort of think that there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes that really dictates it, don't we?
Yeah.
So I think, see what happens. Well, midnight, Monday our time. Yeah. And then it'll be fun following Twitter following day.
Yeah. To see how the Twitter crowd has reacted to it.
And the meltdown commence, you know.
Right. Till next time.
Peace.